We just adore stuffed flatbreads. Whether it's for lunch on the go or just as a little afternoon snack, they're always such a treat and it's so much fun to make them. You'll be amazed at how easy it is to make gözleme at home with just a few simple ingredients.
Hi guys, welcome to Crush and Spices. Today we want to show you two stuffings for gözleme. One is with spinach and cheese and the other one is a spicy potato filling. But first, let's start with the dough.
The great news is that the dough is really simple. It just consists of flour, salt, a pinch of sugar, oil and water. You're bound to already have all the basic ingredients at home. When it comes to the flour, you can choose whatever works best for you. Whether it's plain flour or a more nutrient-rich variety. I like to mix our regular flour with a bit of atta, an extremely fine Indian whole wheat flour which gives our dough a lovely beige color. But more important than the color is the consistency. Consistency is almost the same as an Indian chapati dough. I find that working with warm water is the best for me, pouring it gently into the flour as I go and using a spoon to mix it in. This lets the flour soak up the water more easily. The amount of water you use can vary a little bit from one batch of flour to another, but that's okay. Of course, you can also use a food processor, but I enjoy kneading the dough by hand the most. This way I have full control, especially when working with different types of flour. If you feel like the dough is a bit too sticky after 2 minutes, don't worry. Just add a tiny bit of fresh flour and gently work it into the dough. Just half a tablespoon was really all I needed, and as if by magic, it'll stop sticking all over the place. That's why I now prefer to work on the work surface with both hands. After 8 minutes of kneading, I'm happy with the texture. Rub the dough with a little bit of oil to prevent it from drying out. Cover it with a damp cloth and leave it to rest for about 30 minutes. In the meantime, we get to work on the first stuffing. First up, we're going to make 𝗚ощ𝘂𝗵𝗵, which is basically a stuffed paratha but with spinach and cheese. Today we bought fresh spinach from the Turkish supermarket, which we often have here. Trust us, it tastes so much better than the plastic wrapped spinach leaves you often find in the supermarkets. They lose their flavor and nutrients very quickly after harvesting. This root spinach, on the other hand, stays fresh for longer if you wrap it in a damp cloth. It also tastes much more aromatic than leaf spinach. That's why it's always worth visiting a Turkish grocery store. The selection of vegetables will impress you. I will fry onions for both stuffings and I'm already doing this in one go. I took a large mild onion that weighs about 300 grams and cut it into slightly larger cubes to give the filling a little more bite.
These are mild onions. We don't want to brown them, only saute them until they are soft.
As soon as they are translucent, I put them aside for later. Then add the spinach. If you're short on time, no worries, you can use frozen spinach for a quicker version. I find that using large leaf spinach works really well and 150 grams of frozen spinach is usually enough for me. I like my stuffing a bit chunky, so I prefer bigger leaves. That way you have juicy spinach when you bite into the bread. As soon as the spinach is soft, I add chopped parsley and half of the onions. Then I just leave the ingredients to steam with the lid on, so they can lose their water more quickly. You can see how much moisture has come out. If the stuffing is too watery, you'll find the bread is not as firm as it should be. Then you can take the pan off the heat and crumble in the feta cheese. Isn't it interesting that the Turkish word for cheese, peynir, is almost the same as the one we use in India, paneer? Now just season to taste with pepper and check how much salt should be added. Just a heads up, the green color of the spinach might fade a little, but that's just because of the whey from the cheese is quite acidic. Just leave the cheese to drain a little and you're all set. But don't worry, you still get to enjoy the lovely spinach flavor.
Next we are going to prepare the potato stuffing. The potatoes are already cooked and you have seen we've already sauteed the onions. But if you only want to make one stuffing, the potato stuffing, use leeks instead of onions. I think this tastes even better. I've just seen that we got some spring onions left in the fridge, so I'm gonna add them as well.
The first thing I do is roast some chili flakes. Mine are a little hotter than the Turkish 𝗚ጽ𝘂𝗵, but that's just how I like it. Then I add some paprika pulp and tomato puree. The slight acidity of the tomatoes goes so well with the potatoes, and the paprika pulp adds an extra spicy twist. If you don't have any paprika paste, no worries, you can just use a little more tomato paste instead. Then just chop up your cooked potatoes and mash them lightly. I really like it when it's still a bit chunky, but that's just my personal preference. Now just season to taste. I fold in the parsley and finish everything off with salt and nutmeg. Pro tip: season the stuffing more generously as the dough tends to slightly mask the taste. Allow the filling to cool. I divide the dough into 8 pieces, each about 58 grams. Then, with a gentle touch, I roll out the dough until it's nice and thin, ensuring that there is always a thin layer of our flour to keep the flatbreads from sticking. I had my first ever Gözleme on a school trip to Turkey in Istanbul. There you often see women sitting on the floor, dressed in traditional clothes, baking bread together. They use a long, thin dough roller to spread the dough extra large and thin. It's definitely a very enjoyable way to cook together. In any case, I got a Gözleme almost every day of the 9-day school trip because it was affordable and a great meal at the same time that kept me full. I'm sure that you'll agree that fast food chains really can't compete with that. It was a pretty cool school trip, I have to say. Then, with love and care, I shaped the Gözleme into a beautiful semicircle. Don't forget to press the seam together so that nothing comes out during baking. As soon as I've filled one Gözleme, I start baking straight away, or I do it together with 𝗚ص𝘂𝗵. I bake the Gözleme without oil. The pan has a temperature of approximately 200 degrees Celsius. Just check when the breads get nice brown spots and then turn them over. For us, it takes about 2 to 3 minutes per side. You can always make use of this time to continue rolling out and filling the dough if you can work quickly. Now spread a thin layer of butter on each Gözleme. To keep them warm, I put the Gözleme in the oven, which I only run on 60 degrees Celsius fan. Gözleme can also be frozen and easily reheated. However, you should use fresh spinach for this and not freeze the frozen spinach again after preparing it. We think Gözleme is a great food to take anywhere you go. So whether you fancy taking it to the office, on a picnic, or as a delicious snack, others are sure to be green with envy. Have fun cooking and remember, always bay leaf in good food.
Afiyet olsun.